All right, I'm with Cheryl, who has been a diabetic for 8 years, and what we're talking about today is how, after 8 years, for the first time, she has got her blood sugar, fasting blood sugar, down under 100, and that's even more important without cutting carbs. So, Cheryl, thanks for joining us after a long day of work. So, my first question for you is, up until recently, how has diabetes, from the time you got diagnosed to for the last 8 years, how has that been physically, mentally, emotionally, sleep wise, energy wise, health wise, anything else? So, like, how would you kind of put that last 8 years in a nutshell on all that stuff?
Well, I wasn't sleeping. I'd wake up all the time. But towards the end here, I was waking up at least every hour, looking at the clock,
Yep,
and I didn't have any energy. Energy sucked. I didn't even want to get out of bed in the mornings,
yep,
but I still had to push myself to do it. Mentally, I wanted off the pills because of you hear of all the bad stuff about metformin, and metformin I'm taking twice a day, 1,000 milligrams per time, so that's 2,000 milligrams a day.
yeah. And as you said, like if you really
And
understand it, yeah, it's not heading to good places. Yeah, it's just and the metformin, as much as it's a band-aid to begin with and might help in the beginning, really, but really in the big picture, it's making things worse. Yeah. Were you on 2,000 milligrams of metformin right from the beginning?
no, I started out at 500 once a day, just the metformin,
Yeah.
and then this past 2 years, about 2 years, year and a half,
Yep.
I went up to 1,000 twice a day.
Yeah. And that is often the case that metformin. The one thing that metformin does do is make sure you stay on metformin and make sure you probably need more and more of it. Yeah. Um, and that's not always the case. Some people manage their carbs and do manage to get off it, but if you realize that that does not, you still have diabetes in that case, and it still does not reduce your risk of all the other complications of diabetes, even though you're controlling your carbs. So definitely want to work your way off of those things, which we're doing. Have you ever tried to fix your diabetes, or have you always just tried to manage it?
I want to get rid of it.
Well, yes, we know that now. But over that 8 years, or even when you first got diagnosed, did you ever try to fix it, or did you ever just always the idea of managing it?
Just managing it.
Yeah, which is
It's just been lately to fix it.
yeah, and sadly, like even most type two diabetics, a lot of times are told like, okay, you'll have that forever. You'll just manage it, and most of the conversations out there are about manage it, manage it, manage it, and I think just that as the plan is a big root problem. So definitely, we want to fix it, which we're doing. Uh, and how would you describe how did managing your diabetes go for 8 years?
Figured I could eat what I wanted and take a pill and my everything would be all right.
Yeah. I mean,
And
that is a lot of people, whether they think that's really all right or not. Yeah, a lot of people, what I see, they're just eating. They don't really no care. They're just eating anything and taking their meds, and yet, like you, your blood pressure, yes, but blood glucose is all over the place. And you said recently, up until recently, it was bouncing around between your fasting blood glucose was bouncing around between 170 and 225, right?
it has gone up to 350. That was before.
Just so I understand your history too. So when you say it was in the past up to 350, was that your fasting blood sugar or a couple hours after food?
That would be when I wake up in the morning.
Okay, so that was So you said most of the time for that 8 years it was going 170, 225, but you said sometimes it would jump up to 350. Yeah. All right. Good to know. You are now 21 days into your coaching for diabetes. What has your fasting glucose done in the last few days? I mean, gradually, but even especially the last 3 days, where are you?
I'm going down slowly. I'm in the hundreds. 106, I think, is the highest it's been in the last couple of days. But I've been eating a lot of fruit and my sugar's still going down, so I'm going to keep eating it.
Good. So yes, over the last 21 days, you've been doing coaching, and basically every day we look at it and okay, how can we tweak your nutrition? How can we tweak your well, between food and supplementation, how can we tweak that? And yeah, so it's gone from 170 fasting down to 140 and down to 120, and now for the last 3 days it's been between 98 and 106, and with the objective of getting that down to stay in normal people healthy. So not diabetes normal, but healthy people healthy numbers. And you are meeting with your doctor tomorrow to get off your how to wisely get off your meds. And even yesterday, you only took one dose of metformin. Uh, and how'd you do for meds today?
I did take one in the morning.
You're definitely starting to wean yourself off that, and then you're going to coordinate that with your doctor tomorrow about okay, how can you continue weaning off of that and in a wise, healthy way, get off your diabetes medication. Awesome. What have you noticed in the last 21 days, if anything, as far as physically, mentally, emotionally, your sleep, your energy, your health? It's only, I mean, it's a rather short window, but still, what along with that fasting blood sugar dropping and starting to get off your meds, what have you noticed otherwise?
I have more energy. I don't wake up groggy. 4 days, I've gotten better sleep.
Awesome.
I'm sleeping a lot. I'm not waking up every hour now. It's more like every time my dog wakes me up.
Before working with me, what did you think about carbs and fruit?
Fruits I wasn't allowed to eat, so I didn't. I ate them, but not as much as I eat them now. I still eat potatoes, but not as much as I was. Like
Yeah,
I
we
used,
haven't
I
talked
love
about that.
mashed.
Yeah, and we'll follow up after this call or another time. So, even I would say starchy vegetables you can definitely have. And some people watching this might go, "What?" Yeah, definitely eat your fruit, eat your vegetables, and we can kind of discuss. Okay, what should that look like? I would say following the guidelines for your macros. Go ahead and eat lots of fruit, eat lots of veggies, and if you got room for some starchy veggies in there in those macro guidelines, go for it. Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
yeah, absolutely. But for a diabetic to be like, yes, eat your fruit, eat your fruit, eat your fruit, eat lots of fruit. Yes, definitely.
Fruit.
To put that into perspective for everybody, especially people that think they have to, um, right now you are eating more carbs than anything else. Meaning like you're eating more carbs than you are protein and fats. So yeah, you're eating more carbs than anything else, which again probably sounds really strange. To the people out there too, uh, if a very common reaction to that is I can't do that, that'll spike my sugar, like that'll send my sugar through the roof. I will say to have an open mind and think twice about that and realize it's not necessarily the carb that's doing that. Put it in context, put it in a bigger picture. What's your balance of macros? What's your nutrition? Without your right balance of macros and without the right nutrition, yeah, those carbs are going to spike your sugar. But as you realize, yeah, when you get the right balance of macros and the right nutrition, carbs don't have a bad spike. So realize that.
Right.
So, and I will say to everybody, I definitely want to show people that are diabetic what is possible and continue that conversation with them. So, if you're watching this and you're type 2 diabetic, even if you're type 1, we could definitely have a conversation, but especially type 2 diabetics, if you would like to see how you can eat carbs and lots of fruit, things like that, and see your blood sugar numbers go down and make an appointment in the near future to get off your meds with your doctor, then like or comment and I will follow up with you. All right. So my next comment on my notes here is Cheryl. Uh, if you can do it, anyone can do it. So
That's fun.
okay, I don't have to ask you, do you
I
agree with me? Yeah, so I was going to say, do you agree with me? And if you do, why? So it's we both obviously feel that way. So express to other people out there because a lot of you are like, "Oh, sure, she did it, but I can't." Like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So why did we both agree that if you can do it, anybody can do it?
because I have no. I'll start something and quit. I did that with your with your exercise class, but I
Yeah.
could only do so much.
Yeah, actually, a good point
And
too. I will say, and I haven't asked you lately, or I don't think I've asked you at all since we started doing this diabetes coaching. Um, are other than things around the house and things at work, are you physically active at all?
no,
Okay. Now, for
no,
diabetics
no.
and for anybody, do I recommend good physical activity, especially for diabetics? Yes. That said, in your coaching, we haven't got there. Can you do everything we're talking about without the physical activity? Absolutely. Would it be even better with the physical activity? Yes, and we'll get there. So just to put that into perspective, like some people might think, oh, I can't change my diet that much. I can't exercise. Like, yeah, if Cheryl can do it, you can do it for sure. Take our word for
I thought
it.
about that driving home. I said, did this.
Yeah.
I can't believe I did this. If I can do it, anybody can do it because I'm not aggressive at stuff like that. It takes me a little bit to get into it. But
Yep.
once I get into it, I'm okay.
Yes. And I commend you for doing what you're doing because sadly, I mean, if you look at the
You
stats,
didn't think I
um,
did.
you've surprised me. I'll say that you asked me. You've surprised me. Yeah, because yeah, I mean, I've seen so many people that you're like, oh yeah, they'll do it. Nah, like I mean, 10 million people out there won't do it and just do their meds. And that said, a lot of those people don't know any better either and are getting bad information. So that's not exactly fair either. Another question. Next question is, do you think about your future differently? How did you think about your future before, and how do you think about your future now? Or have you?
I figured I'd be on these pills for the rest of my life from the way I was told.
Yeah,
But now that I don't have, it saves me money. It'll save me money if I don't have to buy these things every month.
yeah,
And it's teaching me how to eat. I'm learning how to eat better and healthier,
yeah. And
which I wasn't before.
yeah. And I will, I mean, most people know, and sadly it doesn't change most people's behavior, but I will throw it out there, remind, because a lot of times we kind of try to brush these things to the side and bury them. Because if we really thought about it, they would be motivating. But sadly, most people with diabetes push them to the side, bury them. But the reality is, you and a lot of people like you, diabetes, are headed for a short life that ends sooner than later with things like cancer, heart disease, uh, kidney failure, blindness, and diabetes is the leading cause of heart attacks, strokes, uh, blindness, kidney failure, and that's where people are headed. And so sooner than later. So yes, those are the kind of things I'd want to avoid and put off as long as possible. So that's what we're working on. A longer, healthier, active life. Absolutely. Why is it important for people to hear your story?
So they'll get the motivation and get up and eat their diabetes.
Yeah. I mean, so, and for, like I said, so many people are getting bad information out there and harmful information out there. So definitely seeing what's possible. And yes, and see what's possible to actually then, yes, do it and get motivated to do it. What do you think, if we haven't said it already, what do you think diabetics need to hear? Whether those, and I'm going to say this bluntly, whether those people are half-assing it, which you have been, have done in the past, and a lot of people have done in the past, meaning like, they're taking their meds. They're maybe sometimes they're eating good, sometimes they're eating bad, and they probably don't even really know what eating good really means. Um, so a lot of people out there half-assing it, thinking they can't do anything about it. But there's also a lot of people out there that are doing something like low carb that think they're managing it, and which is really not. It's not fixing it, and it's really not avoiding all those problems I just talked about. So, is there anything else you think those people would need to hear?
I think, a lot of people think that it's expensive to have to buy all of the like the fruits and the vegetables and stuff, but it really isn't. My grocery bill hasn't changed.
Good. That's
It's
good to
still the
hear.
same.
Can be expensive to eat healthy, but I've definitely seen it. I've done it myself, and you just said it, and I've seen other people do it, and they really look at it like, oh, okay, yes, you can absolutely do it actually the same or cheaper and do it very healthy. Yeah, good. Any closing statements? Anything else people should hear?
If you have type 2 diabetes or diabetes 1 or whatever, you just have to motivate yourself. That's what I did. And I'm not a motivated person, believe me. I'm the last person that like motivated on doing anything. I want to do what I want to do and now with everybody else. So, but it's worth the shot. Take the chance and do it. Get off the meds.
From what I've seen, just to put it into perspective for anybody, when you really do what you're supposed to do and get your nutrition from your food, from your supplements that you really need to fix the root cause of diabetes, um, I would say 90 something percent, I mean, literally over 90% of diabetics type 2 can become non-diabetic, no medication. Now, that said, do I sometimes see a small percentage of those people that are still diabetic, but on a tiny bit of medication? Yes, that's just put it out there, really. So, in wrapping this up, I would say again, if you're diabetic of any kind watching this and you want to experience those kind of things and understand what the root cause of diabetes is and fix it, and like I said, soon have a appointment with your doctor about getting off your meds and being non-diabetic and seeing those numbers drop, then like or comment and I will follow up with you. All right. So Cheryl, thanks for sharing.
You're welcome, and thank you for
All right.